Hello folks and welcome. So today's video is a tour and overview. It's not a review, it's a tour and overview. In other words, I'm going to give you what you would normally see when you install the system, along with some tips. I'll give you some shortcuts and tips also as a bonus on a lot of things. But more importantly, this is not a review in the sense of showing you bad and good things. I'm just showing you what you will get if you installed Ubuntu MATE 2304, the MATE desktop, as an overview and a tour. So welcome folks. Today I'm filming in 1920 by 1080. It's highlighted. This command is called neofetch. I'll show you some other system information later. I'll also show you if you don't know how to install software through terminal, because the software that I'm using currently to record this video, I actually installed it through terminal. But in either case, this does have a package manager or software manager also. And I'll show you that as I move on. This also has a dock feature, which I'll also activate and show you some shortcuts with that also. Welcome folks. 1920 by 1080, the entire video. I'm going to show you a quick shortcut to close this terminal box also. Alt F4. You can use that to close almost any window in Ubuntu MATE. So this is the standard wallpaper. So if I right click on the screen, I can create and do a bunch of stuff. I can also change the desktop background or wallpaper. These are the standard ones. You can of course bring your own. I'm going to use Alt F4 to close this window. So let's first talk about Paul's home folder. Paul is just a made-up name. Paul is our user for today. This is the file manager for this system. Kaja for the Ubuntu MATE. What you can do is resize your icons using it the old-fashioned way, or you can do it my way. What exactly am I doing here? I'm doing a shortcut. If you have never seen any of my videos, or have seen some of my videos, you probably have seen that I do a lot of different kind of shortcuts. Well, this is no exception. So in this file manager, I'm holding down my control key on my keyboard while using my USB-based computer mouse scroll wheel to resize icons. If you have a touchpad, try this out. Hold down your control key and keep it depressed while taking two fingers and slide up and down on your touchpad. And it should produce this effect. If not, do it the old-fashioned way. Icon view, list view, compact view. Just giving you some highlights for this file manager. You can also hit edit, preferences, and you have file manage preference boxes with several tabs. The behavior is set to double click on items, in other words files and folders, or directories as we call it in Linux. This is also available in your control center. This box right here. I'm going to use Alt F4 to close the first box. And then I'm going to change the view to icon view and hit Control H. You also have hidden files and folders underneath there. Anything that starts with a dot, like this was a .config folder with subfolders. A lot of people don't realize there's a lot of hidden stuff in here. Control H to display non-hidden stuff. Now this is back to standard. Okay, so I'll flip this back over. So basically my standard folders look like this. Okay, couple of different things for tips. Double click on this imaginary line. It's the same thing as clicking this maximize button. Double click, double click. I'll do it over here. Don't like that feature? Do it the old-fashioned way. Resizing icons. Alt F4 to close this window, or you can use the X in the corner. Your choice. Alt F4 it is. Let's talk about the menu. So we can do keyword searches. I have accessories. Now some programs are installed. If you pick the minimum installation, you may not have all these tools and software. But I picked the other one. The more software instead of the stripped down version of the desktop. Anyways, I'm going to slowly scroll. I'm not going to click on a lot of things in here. You can always back this video up and keep in mind all my videos have timelines and chapters. Here's the admin section. So the Mate User Manager and the printers can be also found in Control Center. So really not going to bother opening those. I'll open up the Software Boutique. That's your point and click software manager. So I'm going to click the wrench symbol, and here's where the stuff is coming from. And then you can install software pretty simply. Green installation key. You want more details on this piece of software? You got that right there. Here's your screenshot. I can use Alt F4 or X in the corner to close. I'll use Alt F4 and Alt F4 to close this box. So that was the Software Boutique Center. Software Updater, you can click that if you have an active internet connection. It starts looking immediately for updates. If you got some, it'll display those. I'm waiting for it to finish. I will deal with this one later. You have also the software and updates. So a lot of these things are a little bit confusing to new users, but this is also where you have some additional tabs, including drivers area. There's other areas too in the Control Center. You'll see a dedicated tab for this one. Okay. Close. Okay, we have welcome. If you want to give Ubuntu MATE some telemetry data on your system, you can certainly send that. This time I'm going to use the close button. There's 4 tools that get installed here, or pieces of software. The internet section, the Firefox web browser gets installed in transmission. I added the Chromium. Under Office, LibreOffice is here along with MATE Dictionary. Evolution is an email client, contact, and scheduler. You can also open it here by double-clicking on this calendar. I will show that in a little bit. So that was evolution. So document viewer and LibreOffice and a dictionary. Under preferences, most of the stuff can be found in the Control Center. Under sound and video, the only thing I installed, is Simple Screen Recorder, and I installed it through Terminal. Under System Tools, you've got Kaja, keep flipping back and forth. Kaja, the file manager. You have the Debian package installer. You've got log file, MATE disk mounter, usage analyzer. The MATE system monitor can be found here and also here. Let's go back to where I was, and I'll open up Terminal at this point for you folks that want to know how to install software through Terminal if you've never done this. I'm going to use the history buffer of my Born Again shell or bash history just to show you the install command. Sudo is super user do space apt space install is the installation command. I put a space and then I spelled out Simple Screen Recorder, all one word, is my application or software for Simple Screen Recorder, which is currently recording this video. So if you've never used one of these commands, basically you would type that into where the flashing $sign is, and then you would hit enter and put in your password. If it finds the package that you currently put in here for a name, in this case Simple Screen Recorder, one word, it will ask me to continue with the install, yes or no. And then if I hit yes, it finishes the install, gives me another $ prompt, and in this case the actual application is installed here in my menu, like that. So that's how that was installed. Other than that, I have 3 ways to close this terminal box. I can use the X in the corner by closing the window. I can use Alt and F4, or I can type in the word exit. I'm going to use exit this time. So that was the MATE. Power statistics. If you're curious of what I'm using for a mouse and keyboard, I'm using an M585 Logitech mouse and a Logitech K850 wireless keyboard. Both of these are wireless devices. Alt F4 to close. Where was I? Power statistics. Universal access. You've got a magnifier, flexible on-screen keyboard and a reader. Control Center. So we can do lots of things in here. So this is arranged in sections or groups. You can also search, and then there's common tasks in here. So Mate User Manager is in case I don't like the dice for Paul's little thing here, I can maybe choose a different icon. How about this coffee cup? Sure, why not? Close. Printers is almost self-explanatory. Mine is a network printer which was auto-discovered. You can see that has it in brackets, but I can still print from it nonetheless. Software updates I already clicked on earlier. Software Boutique, the same with the updater and the welcome. Additional drivers is also found as a tab inside of software updates. Bluetooth adapters and managers, really not going to open, that's almost self-explanatory. The disk is the GNOME disk utility for readjusting partitions, making partitions on devices that are currently not being booted, such as this hard drive. If you are redoing an internal hard drive for a backup, or maybe a USB drive or stick, you can use that tool to reformat and also adjust your partitions and create partitions. Displays, I'll open that for a second. If you are changing your screen resolution and refresh rate, you will have different options than mine, more than likely. You may not have this extensive list, or maybe you have even more. The same thing goes with the refresh rate. Some people that have real high def cards will have a higher refresh rates than 120 Hertz, and some not so much. The standard is really 60. If I drop this to 24 Hertz at 1920 by 1080 and hit apply, my screen will black out and stay black for about 30 seconds. Now, if you're changing screen resolution and refresh rates and it blacks out for more than 12 seconds, allow it to time out. Be patient. Don't reboot the computer. Don't turn it off. Don't do anything. Allow it to time out. 99% of the time, it defaults back to your previous resolution and refresh rate. Also, be careful with the rotation. There might be a reason why you want to turn that and turn it upside down. Maybe you're running a tablet. But under more normal conditions with a standard monitor, when you do that, it becomes difficult because it flips everything. All right, about scaling. So you have also 200% scaling available to you if you want to test it, if you have this option. Again, some monitors and graphic chips and cards may have a different option. You know, computers can be ran a lot of different ways, and so can operating systems. In other words, the operating system can detect a laptop monitor versus a external screen, for instance. You know, these are all different things that we need to address sometimes. And sometimes we forget that another person may have a regular monitor while another person has a laptop monitor only. And those sometimes are, well, they don't look so pretty in 200% scaling. I'm going to move on now. We have keyboard things, shortcuts, mouse things. Power management can be found here and also at the top here, same box. Your sound thing, hardware, input, output. Your time date manager, this is fully clickable, so if you picked on the wrong time zone during installation, you can certainly change that. Okay, and then you have your advanced network configuration. For you folks that want to put in your own DNS, maybe you don't like domain name system from your internet service provider, your ISP, you can certainly do that. That's done through something like this. Right in here is where you can put your DNS servers. And then the firewall is GovW, and it's off. So if you turn it on, you may want to address the rules to go with it. Network proxy, I'll click this open because it is a favorite with a lot of folks. So your themes, there's a drag bar here. You can get more online. You can also download themes, possibly like from gnome-look.org, for instance, and then install the theme. Here's your backgrounds again here, or right click on your screen, change background also here. Don't forget the fonts. If you are the type that has a difficult time reading things, you may want to address maybe getting the fonts a little bigger. I'll use Paul's Home as the example here of desktop font. and I'll click this to something ridiculously large. There you go. Paul's home is now huge. It's 36 font on the desktop. I'll put this back to 11 manually, and you can see the difference. Close. That was under appearance. There's only one more tab I skipped over, which is that one. All right, the heads up or HU, I'm not really gonna mention of indicators. That's something you can experiment on your own. And then the main menu is really meant more for advanced users. You can do a lot of things in here, like changing icons and names on things. You know, it's a lot of things you can do. Never mind, I'm going to continue without going through this main menu box. And I'll stop here and talk about the Mate Tweek tool, because this is something everybody can use. All right, so first of all, Paul's home, he has a trash can here, right? It's currently empty. He has a trash can here in the corner too, if you have this panel bar turned on. No trash, no trash. All right, but if you want a trash can on this desktop, you can just activate that. Also mounted volumes. Maybe you have a USB stick. Maybe you have an internal hard drive. Maybe you want to see that and click that on. In other words, you can click some options. I'm going to turn that back off. Now I'm going to turn the dock on right now. So I'm redoing this video, so I may have some software that I already thrown on the dock, so I'm going to eliminate that in a second. But this is how you enabled your dock feature for your panel. So right now I have 3 panels activated, including, or 2 panels plus a dock. So what I'm going to do with the bottom one is I'm going to auto hide it, so this will become floating. So I'm going to right click on this bottom panel and auto hide it. So it'll look like that. Then I'm going to pull this out and throw it away, because that's normally not here. So normally what you have is show desktop, possibly Firefox web browser, your Kaja, your file manager, your control center, this Mate system monitor, and your terminal, and possibly a calendar and time day thing and a trash can. You definitely won't have this, the simple screen recorder, unless you installed it and running it. And you can see the light underneath there is green. It's currently running, that's why that's red. But more importantly, I can go to the menu up here, and I'm going to drag the software boutique on I can put it here, or I can put it here. It doesn't really matter. I'll try another one. What else do I want to use? I don't have Rhythmbox in there, so why don't I drag that one down there? Because I think I do have some music. Where do I want to put it? How about right there? So the more icons you put, the longer this gets. Anyways, software boutique, nice little shortcut to that. Wait till that pulls up, Alt F4 to close. So anyways, these are all just shortcuts. Self-explanatory for the most part. You know, calculator, Alt F4. Okay, let's continue with this control center. I'm going to leave the dock this time. Just leave it there. Now that you know how to activate it. It's done through tweaks, panel, enable dock. There's other options, of course. But I'm going to continue this because I'm kind of getting on time here. All right, so we have the open box configuration manager. We have the Planck preferences, 3 tabs on that one, including docklets and pop-up notifications, almost self-explanatory. Screensaver, keep in mind the power manager and them kind of play together. And Windows, a couple of different selections in there. About me, again, you can change Paul's coffee cup to something different. I don't know, how about this fish? Why not? Sure. And password, continue. You got accessibility options. File management, again, is the preference box is the same as you open up your Kaja file manager and hit edit preferences. This box is identical. I may have mentioned that earlier. Language support, I'm waiting for it to finish. Remind me later. Onboard settings, bunch of options in here. The preference applications, really not going to talk too much about, but maybe I'll give you one example if you wanted to change your multimedia player from Rhythmbox to something different. you know, possibly installed VLC or something like that. All right, self-explanatory pretty much. And startup apps. Other than that, I am going to either hit the X in the corner, or I could use Alt F4, right? Yep. So I have lots of options. I have a dock, I have panel bars. I can also auto hide the top bar. Okay, so now that's gone. Right click, and I'll turn it back on. Since I didn't cover this bar, all it's in here, up here is menu, Firefox web browser. Let me give you some tips on that one. Basically, if you are looking for information, I'll just type in news and see what we get. And then I'm going to, sure, why not, allow. And I'm going to resize the inside of this web browser, all the content on the fly. This will go to 30% to 500%. What exactly am I doing here? I'm doing the exact same thing I'm doing in the file manager, holding down my control key while using my computer mouse. This one is USB based wireless, scrolling up and down to resize text, and it's telling me what the percentages is. Once I get it to the size I want, I release the control key and it remains in this size. I could also double click on this bar anywhere to resize the window instead of using that button there. It's the same thing. Alt F4 to close this window. That was the Firefox web browser. I already showed you the options in here. It's the same ones as in the bottom panel bar. That's the icon for simple screen recorder. That's the icon for my Bluetooth stuff. Wireless stuff. Do not disturb stuff. The keyboard stuff and my power management preferences, which is also found in Control Center. Your volume thing, mute, regular volume, microphone, and sound settings. The calendar you can actually click on. Double click, it opens up this calendar. Hamburger menu time. This is Evolution. It's a multi-function suite. It's got an email client, contact, calendar, task, and memos. You can arrange your calendar in a monthly, yearly, list, work week, day. It's a very versatile thing. Okay, it's pretty simple to add events. You basically just click that. Add the event. Okay, I have an event for tomorrow called Test Test. You can see that at 9 a.m. My time zone, if that's not correct, fix it. Click the right time zone, wherever you are. Okay, close. And close, this time manually. Alright, so that's all that's in there. The power button thing here, the session management status and user switching, you click on. And the first item is about this computer. The name of that computer is what I gave it, UMate, Ubuntu MATE. The name of this distribution is Ubuntu MATE 2304 Lunar Lobster. Here's the Linux kernel version 6.2 series kernel. MATE, memory, processor, graphics, and disk space available. Processes, resources, file system. System monitor. Alt F4 to close. I'll click this up here again. MATE help operates like a web browser pretty much. And then you have the Ubuntu help online. And again, this can be resized my way or the old-fashioned way. I'm doing it my way using the control key and my computer mouse. Again, if you got a touchpad, hold down your control key and try 2 fingers by sliding it up and down on your pad. Okay, you can also double click, make this bigger, smaller, or do it the old-fashioned way. Your choice. And Alt F4 to close. What's left over? We have the report a bug. The system setting is Control Center. I'll use the X this time, it's just convenient. Lock screen, log out Mr. Paul here, suspend, and shut down the system. If you press that, you have 60 seconds, you can walk away from the machine, supposedly. It'll shut down the system. Other than that, I'm going to hit cancel. And I'll say thank you for watching, folks. Take care.